Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagined podcast. I'm your host and your caregiver coach and your business coach, Melissa. And I just want to remind you that if you're struggling with how to find a healthy balance between your business and being a caregiver, I want to help you. And so I definitely urge you to check out that link below in the description box, wherever you're watching this, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're watching this, my website, to book a free coaching support call with me to see if you're a good fit for my new program coming out July 26th called Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagined. Doors open on July 26th, but if you get on the wait list, you get in early on the 19th. So definitely check that out. But getting on to today's episode, I am so excited to have my two financial mentors, coaches, advisors, or whatever you want to call it, with me today on the podcast because they are just one brilliant woman beyond belief, but they are also so expertise in how money works. And I actually just got done reading this book, like you will see in the background for those of you who are watching it, How Money Works, and Stop Being a Sucker. And this was really eye-opening for me because I come from a family that really tried to teach me good basic money skills, but there's so much more to it that the average person does not understand. And for our demographic as caregivers and as entrepreneurs, guys, learning how money works and how we can put it to work for us to be able to provide for our families and protect, as my lovely friend, my lovely coach Claire says, protect our assets really is important because, if we're going to thrive in this ever-growing economy where things are going up and the cost of living is going up, but yet our dollars are still the same, it just isn't going to work. So I invited Claire and LT to come on board today to help share what they know and to share some of our experiences of us working together over the last month now. I can't believe it's been a month already. And I just want to give you guys the chance to get the link up and the resources that I have, and maybe share this with somebody else who could be struggling and needs to know this stuff, because we're going to dive hardcore into this stuff. And for just a little disclaimer, I just want you guys to know that there is no shame. Okay. Money is complicated. It has so many layers. And as a caregiver for a loved one, as a wife, a mother, as a business owner, there's a lot to take in. And we're obviously not going to be able to dive into everything on this episode, but definitely reach out to Claire and Latondra at the end, because I will be including all their lovely information below in the description as well for you to touch base with one of them to see if what they have to offer is a good fit for you. But without further ado, Claire and LT, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Well, thank you so much, Melissa. We appreciate you.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. So why don't we just let our listeners get a little better acquainted with you one at a time. So Claire, why don't you go first and share a little bit about who you are, your story, and then we'll let LT have a turn.
Hi there. Yes, my name is Claire Mbugua, and I am a financial strategist, I call myself. I was in healthcare for over a decade and kind of saw the financial devastation that happened with a diagnosis or even a baby, right? They come out costing, right? So I started to really look around and see how the medical industry had changed and shifted since I, initially came in. And I started just asking myself, okay, where can I fit in and how can I help more people? Right. So it's a wonder when you ask with intention what is brought to you. And this opportunity to help people understand how money works came to me from an old, friend of mine. And I have been rocking and rolling ever since. It gave me the opportunity to be an entrepreneur during what we, experienced, this thing called, I called her Coco, but y'all know her as COVID. And, it was just right on time. And, COVID gave me a chance to actually learn a new skill and really understand the need for this information within our society, as well as myself, because we don't know what we don't know. And when we get this kind of information, it can kind of bring shame, like you said, Melissa. But I always tell my clients, this is a judgment-free zone, because we weren't taught these things in school. We didn't talk about these things at the kitchen table. So I'm here to really, one, change the face of the financial industry, as well as be the one who cares for the ones that care for others. So thank you so much, Melissa, for having me. And I'm just excited and thrilled and just honored to be in business with this next young lady that is going to introduce herself, Miss Latondra Williams. Thank you so much for making this opportunity possible. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's a joy to have you on the podcast and to give back a little bit after getting to work with you and LT one-on-one. And it's actually interesting. LT was who I met first, guys, just so you know. LT, we say, is the link between me and Claire, and I'm very thankful that I've gotten the chance to meet and work with both of these amazing women. But LT, girl, take it over. Let's hear from you.
Wow. Well, thank you. First of all, Melissa, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is absolutely amazing. It's always in gratitude to be able to be in like-minded individuals who want to make a difference in the world. And so this is what brought me into this space that I am right now. And Claire did say something that stood out about, us linking together specifically, because the business part is that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And I definitely stand behind that 100%. Hello, everyone. I know that you've kind of heard a couple of things. You've heard Latondra, you heard LT. The truth is, both names belong to me. It's not necessarily what I, go by on an everyday basis, but, there's the options of, having that two-name thing is something that's short for me too, for Latondra. And so I actually came in from the food service industry, worked in it for over 20 plus years, which was always a blessing for me because I get to meet so many different people. Like, that is just all that it is for me. I love people. I love connecting and building relationships. It's always been a superpower of mine, I will say. And in that superpower, I learned a lot about myself. And so, yes, we could talk about COVID being the example of, pivoting and doing something new, creating this opportunity. But some people saw it as a downfall in their lives, right? They were not able to get the service and the help that they need financially, emotionally, and physically. And it was very heart-wrenching for a lot of people. But what I can say more than anything is that it brought me growth. So I can honestly sit here and tell each and every one of you who are listening in right now, wherever you're listening in from, that this actually changed the trajectory of my life. Like, not just to be able to build a business and become an entrepreneur, but also how many people we can truly help to make things happen, because there's so many people out there who truly don't care what we have, what we don't have. It's up to us to make a difference in our families' lives. And so that's what this business has done for me. And this opportunity of teaching people how money works and educating in that way is also taught me the things that I need to do for and provide for my family as well. So it is definitely always an honor, even being in the food service industry, within range and stuff, is still being able to say, hey, listen, what's your relationship with money? Oh, you didn't think about that? Oh, well, let's talk. It's a simple conversation, and it is a scary place to be, but the truth is it's there. It's not going anywhere, and you need to have it. So it's good to have those relationships with people who can help you with that, who want to see you pivot and do great things. And as Claire and Melissa has both shared, that it is a judgment-free zone. I can't judge anyone for all the things that I've done as well. So it's up to us to make a difference and just learn from the actions and start implementing the things that we want to and desire. So thank you again for this opportunity. It's definitely great to be here on this coffee chat. On this
I know, right?
This is awesome.
This is amazing. I want to just touch on something a little bit, guys, really quick. Is like, have you heard, for those of you who might be on the fence about even just starting a business, for one, we're from all different industries. I was in healthcare as a CNA for 15 years. LT was in the food service. Claire was more in the nursing and, that type of higher up department, in the healthcare industry as well. We're all from different walks of life, have all had different relationships in terms of our money experiences and our careers. And yet we've pivoted. Yes, COVID was the catalyst, But I think it's also to realize too that while COVID was the catalyst for us to become entrepreneurs and do something totally different in our industry, a different industry, it's also given us the chance to to grow and have a better relationship with money. Because as a business owner, and as a caregiver too, think about it, you're having to adjust the finances long term, both in terms of your business to provide, because obviously we want to move that bottom line, we want it to be profitable. But as a caregiver, more importantly, is what I really want to kind of focus on today too, is estate planning. It is so important. And or for those of you who are kind of know it more as like long-term care for your business, but also so you can provide, but then long-term care for you as the caregiver and for your family, because things are going to change. Like, even if you thinking about retirement, I know that's the big one that we all think about a lot, but do we even really think about taking into account that the economy is going to probably be different in 20 plus years? I know I have 29 years to go personally, guys, before I could technically retire, unless I want to retire early. So am I doing the math? Am I really taking the time to figure out, like, what is the cost of living going to be? How much money am I going to need there? How much is taxes going to go up? How much, do I really need to be able to still pay off my house if I'm doing that if that's going to be something that you're going to need to deal with, or how can I do it sooner? These are all the questions that I think when we talk about quote unquote with retirement, long-term planning, that we don't bring to the table, because we say, oh yeah, we need to save. We're told from a young age we need to save for our child's education, health costs, and as we age and retirement, but we're not really getting to the root of what the steps are with long-term planning, with really educating ourselves on how money works and how we can make money work for us, as Claire says, in your sleep. Girl, guys, listen, would you like your money to work for you in your sleep? I'm sure a lot of you who are listening or watching this are saying yes. So ladies, let's break it down first. So for example, what is long-term care? For those who are especially not in the healthcare industry, they may not have even been exposed to it, or even just from the money mindset, even if you're not a former healthcare worker. When we're talking long-term care planning, what exactly are we talking about, and how can we break it down to where it's not German for those who are listening and who are not in the headspace of where we're going with this?
I see long-term care as another form of asset protection, right? And what's the first three letters of assets, y'all? That's exactly what it is, right? It's really protecting what you've built, what you've worked so hard for, okay? So long-term care covers anybody who can't perform two of what we call the adult daily living activities, ADLs, right? So if you can't, move around by yourself, if you can't, use the bathroom by yourself, these are the kinds of activities that warrant or will turn on a long-term care rider if it's added to a policy, or a standalone long-term care policy. So there's so many different ways that long-term care can work. But let's talk about some examples of what long-term care, having a long-term care policy will actually, help you with, right? Let's say you needed to, change the bathroom's configuration now that you are taking care of a loved one for a long period of time. Or if you needed to pay for a facility that could take care of them for a long-term period. So this is the kind of asset protection that I think everybody will need at some point in their life. But the statistic today is 70% of people will actually need long-term care, and only 30% of them have it. Okay, so what we want to do, the purpose of today is really educate people about why long-term care is so needed. So I just gave you a couple of different things to think about, and I think LT is going to give you some things to think about why long-term care is important to have.
Yes, well, thank you, Claire. The truth of the matter is like more and more people are saying that you need to be responsible for healthcare. people within the industry. So the fact of the matter is more and more states are looking into, hey, you've got to add this pillar to whatever it is that you're doing. It's not just about the medical things of that nature. Definitely long-term care is that possibility, because think about it, honestly, if you can control the way that your family is being taken care of, from the things that you're not even thinking about could necessarily happen to you at this time. Imagine, your elderly family member who is in need, and it's you who's got to take care of them. But how are you able to do that and still provide for your household and do the things that you need to do just on a simultaneous basis, and so, as Claire mentioned about these daily living activities, we don't realize that these are one of the first things that are functions in our bodies that may, have issues and go. And so it's always important to kind of be in a space and in a mind to figure out what I can do to get long-term care. Now that it's going to be something that's advocated for me to do, how can I do it? How can I go about doing it? And the truth is, of course, we'll dig into it a little bit later, but if you do long-term care by itself, it's absolutely expensive. It's a lot. And you're already thinking, well, I don't even have medical, way to take care of my medical bills and all that other stuff. How am I supposed to add something like this to my profile and doing and taking care of my family? But we definitely have ways of helping you with that. And that is our goal for today, to educate you on what long-term care is, how it can be beneficial for you as well, not just your family member or your elderly that you may have that you're taking care of. And just know that there's different possibilities out there for you to do. You just have to, find out and take action and make things happen. So that's definitely what long-term care can define for you. And I do hope that with you hearing this, that you will do some more research and finding out what long-term care is and what states are requiring you to have long-term care underneath your belt. It's just like we did with Obamacare, right? Like you had to have health insurance. And so we had to pivot and go in different directions and find that out. So this is what's going to be happening very soon. So we want to be aware of that as well.
Absolutely. Well, you guys just did a mouthful of good information. So I'm going to take it back just a step. So, when we think about long-term care planning, I love that Claire touched on, guys, about the expense, not just with the medical side in terms of only medical bills, but think of the cost of those renovations. Like if your loved one gets to the point where they're unable to walk, they're not going to be able to step over a tub to get into the tub or shower to have a shower. So that's an expense. So you have to demo your house. And you have to pay people to demo your house. So you see where it goes. It's a pipeline of expense there. And also the caregiving side. I personally am a caregiver, like you guys know, for both my father and my husband, and I have a small child while doing a business. But I'm also in a season where I'm also leveraging home health for my father. So, it's very important to understand that these costs, you look at the cost of all these different services, they're there to help you, but being prepared, which is the first letter of my framework, guys. Remember, we've talked about prompt. Be prepared for the unexpected. Financially being prepared for the unexpected is so important. Like Claire says, we're covering our assets. Okay. And it is a form of self-care too. So it ties in with the second P of prompt.
Yes.
Prioritizing whole body self-care. Think about it. Financial stress or stress in general does nothing for our loved one's health. It does nothing for us as an entrepreneur or of a caregiver. We have enough on our plate that we're trying to work about. So what can you do now, even if it's just one baby step? Guys, I don't have everything planned out that I need to do personally for my LTC, but I'm taking baby steps, if you will, by just working with Claire and LT, educating myself. And we've talked about some solutions that are appropriate for me and my family and that go along with my state that I'm in. And like we talked about before too, it is different. Okay. What works for your situation, it's going to look different across the board for everyone's caregiving situation, because we have different illnesses, different things will qualify for certain programs. So you need to be aware of that for research. And again, the rules of the state. Unfortunately, it is a lot of, there's the federal level, but unfortunately too, it is state by state, which I know is a pain in the keister, because it would be nice if it was the rules applied across the board, but guys, it doesn't work that way. So a simple shift. What can you do for this first part? what can you do to start educating yourself? So maybe look around at what the rules are for your state, and then definitely really assess, like, what are the current situations that you're dealing with caregiving? Like, what illnesses does your loved one have, and how that might impact their application or approval for certain things, certain programs, certain insurances, things like that. And what might you need to do right out the gate, or and thinking about like down the road, like if you know, what's the long-term projectile about how your loved one's going to progress, be it dementia, be it a neurological condition, be it a chronic illness. As it gets worse, what do you know down the what can maybe you jot down on a piece of paper right now and just brainstorm what you're going to have to be dealing with, because that will help you start brainstorming the cost. If you know down the road they're not, because of a neurological condition, their legs are going to go and they can't walk, you're going to need ramps to get inside the house. You're going to probably need a wheelchair accessible shower chair to get them even into the bathroom to shower them. You're probably going to need maybe a mechanical lift. You're going to probably maybe need a wheelchair, a hospital bed. These are the things that can start adding up. And I know it feels overwhelming and scary, but like Claire said, if we take time to plan ahead now, or like in prompt, be prepared for the unexpected, it'll take a load of stress off, because we'll know, okay, when I get to that season, I have my assets covered, I have a plan in place, and I'm ready to rock and roll. But what happens if we don't prepare? More stress, which impacts our loved one's health, which impacts our health, and we can't make it work. And so, and with that, there is a choice here. When we're trying, the other piece of this too is honoring what our loved ones want too. That's another thing to think about. Maybe my family personally, they're dead set on not wanting to be in long-term care facilities. And fortunately, with me having 15 years of healthcare training, I can do it. I know how to leverage tools and I can do it. But I do still need to think about the cost though as the caregiver, because I still need extra tools and resources. I have to think about that. Am I going to have to demo our house at one point? Am I going to have to, buy more equipment? What am I going to need? So it's very important to think about these things. So educating is the next big thing. But so LT and Claire, what are some action steps besides or let me take a step back. So let's dive a little bit more into the education piece, because I know people are probably going, their brain is swirling and they're probably feeling overwhelmed. So what are maybe 1 to 2 things you would say that they could just, like this week, this 1 to 2 like really easy steps we could give them in terms of the education piece before we moved on to like the main action? But what's something that we could give them to start somewhere? Because I'm sure they're like, okay, that's fine, I need to educate myself on my state, but where do I start with my state? What questions do I need to ask? What do I need to be looking at?
Talk to the people that know the information, that have made it their profession to know this stuff, right? Yes, just like Melissa said, there are states like the state of Washington that have understood the rising costs of long-term care and has shifted that responsibility to the individuals, okay, of that state, because folks, please look up the costs of long-term care. That's not even including what Melissa's talking about, home renovations and different things like that, right? And she touched on a couple of things that I hope we'll still touch on, but the importance of speaking to a professional, somebody who knows and understands what long-term care is, what it covers, how it will look, and determining, what your policy will pay out when, that time comes. You notice I didn't say if. When that time comes. So folks, proper preparation ahead of time is so essential. So that is my saying to everyone is find a professional and do it before it happens, right? So that you can have the mental and mental freedom to be able to care for your loved one.
Absolutely. LT, do you got some thoughts, girl?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I look at it the perspective of just even knowing what you have in your healthcare providers, right? So yes, doing specifically finding out what the professional is going to tell you about that, but understanding what you have with Medicaid and if you have Medicare and what will be provided in helping you with getting your long-term care, because not one shoe fits all, right? We know that to be true, but we also know that there's different ways of you having to improve and also show your time of the claim, right? These things are important for you to share within Medicaid, right? Also, there's always a look back but based on your assets and your quality of what you're able to do when it comes to Medicaid, right? And then also options that may be limited, based on the care that you have, like Claire just mentioned a moment ago. And then there's a side of Medicare, well, again, knowing exactly what you have and how that will be able to do that. So how the benefits could be paid after 100 days after you do have for 20 days from there. And then making sure that things are conservative for them, right? As far as a hospital time, the treatment, everything of that nature. And then also finding out whether this skill is set up for chronic as well. Like there's just so many levels that come from long-term care. And you really just taking the time out to educate yourself, one, getting with the professional, but two, also knowing what you have right now within your health range and how that can help you with your Medicaid or if you have with Medicare. So that's a better understanding of what long-term care can do for you as well. We got to have realistic solutions.
Right. Yeah. What do you have now? Do any of you know what is covered under your current policy? That would be a good place to start. And knowing, just again, state to state, Medicaid and Medicare rules change from state to state. So it's important to look at the rules about what you apply for, or what you qualify for, within your state. And again, I know it's frustrating that it'd be nice if it was an umbrella for everything across the board, but that's not what it is. So definitely keep yourself updated on those changes, because again, there being different rules, state to state, again, the rules can change. So be educating yourself on how to do it, and definitely find a professional that works for you in your within the state and where you're at if you're needing help. But if you also need help, you know where to find my girls. So, okay, so we touched on education. We touched on some action steps in terms of that education. What if they don't have anybody, to reach out to, where can we find you guys in terms of being that support like you were for me?
Well, you can find me on Instagram. You can see my at Claire.Mbugua, Mbugua. That's the best way to find me. And Melissa will also post my websites and things like that. But I just want to let your listeners know that don't allow money or fees to be a barrier. We actually do what we do complementary to our clients, because we understand about this need, and we understand that sometimes the people who need it the most are the ones who are left out. So we want to leave no one out. We want to give access to this information to really, what I always say, anyone with skin, because the last time I checked, human mortality is still 100%. Not even Elon Musk can buy a second back, right? So it's about having access to this information. And, Latondra and I do this not just to give people information, but because it comes from our heart. And we understand that this is part of our calling as women, as entrepreneurs, as mothers, as aunts, as just, people in society who saw this piece of information, at least I'll speak for myself, and said, wait a minute, with all these degrees I have, I didn't think about these things, right? I had an example of it in my family, but nobody gave me the blueprint. So I'm here to give people the blueprint. Your final destination is, and back engineer a plan to get you there. So just understand there are people out here working for the people.
Awesome.
Wow.
Latondra?
Yeah, well, Claire said it all. I mean, she wrapped it up in the bow. The only part was my information. And Melissa, of course, will be sharing that as well. But my handle is actually my first and my last name. So LATONDRA.DENA, which is Latondra Dene. And, you know, I put my name out there because I stand for my name, you know, and I think that more than anything, I want people to know how to get in contact with me specifically, to know that this is a person, this is a real person. I'm not out there trying to do anything outside of just helping as many people as possible to get this information. And the truth of the matter is, I think that from what Claire had mentioned, you know, even just taking this opportunity and understanding healthcare and understanding all that. The truth is, we all didn't get this information, and we can't be afraid to get it. You know, it had to take someone who was brave enough to tell me how to do this in order for me to be brave enough to do it for someone else. And it's about being twofold. You know, we have to be able to sharing the good news, sharing the good information. I mean, think about that restaurant that you tried and it was like the most amazing food you had ever had, right? And you're like, oh my God, it was so good. It was just like the best food I ever had. I use restaurants all the time as my analogy, by the way. But it's the truth. You think about it, you go and share that information with everyone. You're like, you've got to try this restaurant. It's a must. And this is the same thing for your life. You know, that feel good that you have, you would definitely feel good once you get this information. And once you're able to hear about what it is that you have. So like Claire mentioned, yes, we do back engineer and help you to see where you are right now. Don't allow yourself to live in fear. You know, understand how to pivot. You've already seen that you're capable of doing it because you're here and you're listening, right? And we all know that we all been through something together, all at the same time, but we had to find ways to get around what that looked like. So yeah, definitely, you know, just know that we're, you know, here to help. Our goal is to really teach you how money works, to stop being a sucker, right? And start being a student, right? Educating yourself and build on that. But just know that you don't have to do it alone. We're definitely here to help you.
Right. And guys, the How Money Works book is an easy read. I honestly sat down and read it within a couple hours. It was not that hard. It's like a 5th grade reading level. I read it once. I definitely am going to go back through it again. And I highlighted so many things. And it's really broken down. I like how the layout of this book, guys, it was very easy. It was like there was examples with stats and, you know, hardcore information studies, but they had different, you know, questions that people might ask. And then they also have in some sections, for those of you who are watching, what you learned to kind of reinforce, you know, just simple where you just basically fill like a one word answer. So it's very simple, very easy, good stuff in here. This is a good book. So definitely pick up a copy and read it. That could be another good action step for you, of just reading this book and kind of getting a handle on really how the money system works and how there's loopholes and how you can make it work for you in a much easier and less crazy way. So guys, before we wind down this interview, 2 things. One is I would love you to each give, I mean, I know we've kind of already given some tips, but maybe give them some encouragement tips of just, I hear all this information and it feels overwhelming and scary, but help. So maybe each of you give 3 really simple tips, you know, just some encouragement tips, some pep talk tips, if you will. And then also just share about something either in our conversation that really just stuck with you, or maybe in your own journey that could be a little bit of encouragement to our listeners who are struggling, as a ending thought.
I would have to say, think about the price of peace of mind. We touched on the you know, the different parts of why, you know, we should look into long-term care, why we should look into asset protection, why we should look into all of these things. But think about the price of the peace of mind that these solutions bring. And it wasn't until I spoke with one of my clients who I helped her really create a well-rounded financial plan that includes an estate plan. Those legal things are so essential. Ensuring even at the age of 18 that your children have a medical directive that includes you as the parent, because when you don't, the doctor can actually have more power over what your child goes through than you. Okay, so just understanding and sitting down with a professional, somebody who knows and understands the different aspects of that well-rounded financial plan, right? And will actually sit down with you and educate and inform you about that. I think that's what really sets us apart with the How Money Works Learning Centers. And we are actually nationwide. So we can help anyone in any state and the state of Puerto Rico and the nation of Canada, right? So technology has enabled us to be able to intake information as well as disseminate it. So folks, be informed. If you don't know even where to start, please reach out to us. We are here for you. We want to understand your situation and understand that your situation is individual. So we actually create individualized plans for our clients. So just be encouraged that there are people out there willing and able to assist you around these subjects so that you can take care of the ones that you love.
Awesome. Awesome. Latondra?
Yes, yes. I think about it just being a parent, being a woman. We survive these men for the most part. I mean, the statistics show that on a regular basis, and we already have a lot on our plate being super women and being Renaissance women, and the truth is that we want to be able to find that space that can give you that peace of mind that Claire is talking about, that clarity about where you are and how you're able to, build and do things for your family, but also knowing that you're at a good space in that. So with you having a great state of mind and being at peak state, then you're not losing the, the fire and the energy that you need to take care of your family members every day. So embrace your superpower that's been given to you, right? Like really embrace your superpower. I can say for me personally, even just how Claire is sharing an information about being 18 years old with your child and they're being their own individual people, that if something does happen, there's not much you can do on your end. And I know that's not going to bring you peace, because the truth is we love our children. We love our family. It's just by nature that we love. And with that, all that love, we have to be able to feel in a good space of love. So we don't feel like we're not giving, great information and great pieces to what we need in helping ourselves to stay educated in that. So if I was to share anything outside of just what you're hearing about, power of attorneys, things, estate planning or whatever, we have to plan for the things that we want. We have to plan for the things that we need for our family, protecting our assets. We have an estate planner who's a mentor in our in our company, and they basically said, the plan is that the government has one for you, but you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
So not let anyone take away your piece in that. This is for you. This is to benefit you. And this is also to benefit those around you. So just to kind of give you some insight is we have an estate planning event that we do every Thursday, or the last Thursday of every month. We get to invite people to come on a Zoom, right? Just like we are all over the state, as Claire talked about, right? And in this thing, we get to have we actually have an actual attorney, an attorney friend of ours who gives this information. We have it at 2 different times. We are definitely going to let you know it's for the 29th. This Thursday coming up is at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it gives you a great opportunity to hear the difference between a will and a trust and estate planning. And then shortly after that, you get an opportunity to spend some time one-on-one to find what works best for you with one of the best lawyers out there who can help you with estate planning. Even if you're thinking about, well, I don't know, I have children with special needs, things of that nature, family members with special needs, we have one specifically for them as well. So just know that the opportunities out there, again, it's going to be this Thursday. If you want to get more information between Claire, myself, and of course, Melissa, we have that information for you. We would love for you to come on and just hear it out. Take a chance on yourself and truly hear what the difference is between estate planning and how you can make a difference in your own life.
Right. Yeah. And thinking about to your children, I mean, I have a 4-year-old, guys. And so thinking about the thing that's really been on my heart is my mother started a trust where she passed away, I think, and for her education. And that's a start, but also thinking about things my husband and I are now working on, are thinking about like after we're gone, like for her retirement, because she'll retire probably, could retire after something happens to us. Who knows? Just so. And again, doing the math, what are the taxes going to be at? What's the cost of living going to be at? What is her health going to be like? We don't want to assume the worst, but if we prepare for the worst, then our children have the best chance to thrive at whatever season of life they are at. And regardless, whether they get married or not and have families of their own. So the idea here, guys, is that we're trying to care for the generation above us. We're trying to care for our needs, but we're also needing to think about the generation coming after us, or generations, even with an S, we can pass things on. So it's really important to think about this stuff. Okay. And it doesn't mean, and you don't need to be an entrepreneur as well to do it, or a necessary caregiver. It's just very important that you look at this stuff in terms of how you are, even just as in general speaking, as a spouse, as a daughter or a son, as a spouse, as a parent. All these things are very important, and it all envelops in the concept of understanding how money works and how you can put it to work for you. And it's okay if things change. One of the best things that I know, there's so much more than just doing power of attorney and living will, but that was a piece of it for us too. And just knowing after talking with our lawyer, it was so nice to know that, okay, we got the bones, as it were, figured out for now, but that doesn't mean it can't change, but at least something is there. So if something does happen, we have a place to start. We can always go back and tweak later. It's a lot easier to tweak when you have a plan in place, guys, than if you have nothing and it's too late. Crap has already hit the fan and it's too late and you're scrambling. You're scrambling to catch up. I don't want you to go there. As your caregiver and business coach, that's my job. I don't want you to go there. I want you to be using, prompt, the first letter of prompt P, being prepared for the unexpected now while things are not as chaotic before crap hits the fan. Okay. Right. It's really important. And as I'm learning and evolving myself, I'm working on protecting my own assets, but I didn't know either. I'm your coach and caregiver coach, but doesn't mean that I have all the answers and I'm perfect. I am by no means not. And I'm continuing to evolve and grow in front of you in real time. And that is fine. And I want you guys who are listening as my clients, my students, do the same thing, to grow and evolve and be okay with it and realize there's no shame, like Claire said, in this, because money can be a big topic of shame. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with learning and realizing I can learn something new that can make me be a better entrepreneur, can make me a better caregiver, can make me a better spouse, make me a better parent, a better adult child taking care of my parents or grandparents even, because of the generation gap. So I really hope that by listening to this episode, you feel empowered and you're going to walk away with inspiration and hope and some action steps to learn how to be clean about money and your thoughts about money. Because I know money gets a bad rap with everything that's going on when we watch Fox News and all the craziness going on with the economy. It's easy to go down that rabbit hole, but I don't want you to go there. That's why I brought Claire and Latondra on, who are my own financial strategists, to give you the chance as well, because this stuff is important. It needs to be talked about more than it should. And it all starts with educating and doing some actionable, easy steps, even if it's just 15 to 30 minutes a day and taking one step at a time. Okay, so action steps. Get the book, read it. If you want some actual financial strategy with someone who has a wiser head than you, check out my girls, Claire and Latondra. I will leave their information in the description box below. And also check out their free event on Thursday if you haven't even gotten to the point where you've even gotten a nugget done of having a little will, power of attorney, estate planning, and all those things. think about that stuff and let's start getting you in the right direction. So Claire Latondra, thank you so much for being on the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagined podcast today. I really enjoyed having you, taking your time out of your day to do this. And I really do enjoy being a student of yours, and being able to say that I am a student of yours and that I'm learning and that we've been able to cross paths and grow in our business and our caregiving journeys together.
Well, thank you so much, Melissa. I appreciate you and the platform that you are opening up for caregivers and entrepreneurs who are caregivers. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, Melissa, you are a phenomenal student, like you take in the information and you thrive off of it. And we definitely need more people like that. So obviously your audience who's listening, your clients, people that you have that are hearing you out as a coach, you're on the right track with the right person. So congratulations, Melissa, on all your endeavors and everything that you're doing in your business. You're continuing to thrive and I'm super proud of you, girl. So congratulations.
Thanks, LT. All right, guys. Well, definitely check out the links in the description box below. If you have any other questions, definitely reach out to me via email or on Instagram at Melissa Miller 2011. Definitely, I will leave Claire and Latondra's information below. And remember, you know your family's needs better than anybody else. You're not alone. Give yourself grace, especially on the hard caregiver and entrepreneur days, because they're going to come. We don't learn the most when things are easy. We learn the most when things are hard. And so if you're in a hard season, let's take this as an opportunity to problem solve, to grow. And if you're feeling stuck on the caregiving side or the business side, your girls gotcha. I want to help you. Hit that link to book a call below to find out more about my program. And if you're struggling with estate planning, asset protection, my girls Latondra and Claire gotcha. Okay. You got 3 professionals here that are ready to help you thrive in your journey as a caregiver entrepreneur, and we're not going to let you fall by the wayside. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Share it with a friend or a family member who needs to listen. And I will see you in the next episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagined podcast. Take care, guys.